I'm going to show you how to make my mom's recipe for Pennsylvania Dutch potato filling. It is the ultimate comfort food, where mashed potatoes meet bread stuffing. Check it out. Hey there, it's Christine from naturalkitchenschool.com. Today we're making Pennsylvania Dutch potato filling. My mom always made this for Thanksgiving, but it's great anytime you want a hearty side dish. This recipe was passed down from my grandma to my mom to me, and I guarantee that Pennsylvania Dutch potato filling will become your new favorite recipe as well. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to find out about new recipes. Well, I'm hungry, so let's get started. First, we're going to make the mashed potatoes. Peel and quarter 6 medium potatoes. You can use russet potatoes or Yukon Gold, whichever you prefer. Place the potatoes in a large saucepan. Add 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt and enough cold water to cover the potatoes. Bring to a boil. Then reduce the heat to medium and simmer lightly covered for 15 to 20 minutes, or until the potatoes are fork tender. Drain the water from the potatoes and mash the potatoes with a potato masher. Add 2 tablespoons of butter, add 1/3 cup of milk to the potatoes and mash again to incorporate. At this point, you can season your mashed potatoes with a little bit more salt and pepper to taste. And yes, these mashed potatoes are a little bit drier in consistency, but that's okay because they're going to be moistened up by the sautéed vegetables and also the beaten egg. Place 5 cups of dried bread in enough water to cover it. This is bread that I dried out for a few weeks in a paper bag. I used sourdough white bread, but you can use any white bread. I'm also using a little bit of this bread. It's an einkorn bread that I got from Miller's Bio Farm. Most of the ingredients I'm using in this recipe came from Miller's Bio Farm. Instead of the paper bag method, you could also just spread out the bread on a baking sheet and let it dry out overnight or for a couple of days. Let the bread soak for 15 minutes or until it's soft. Our bread cubes have absorbed a lot of the liquid, so now they're nice and soft. So I'm going to squeeze off the water and transfer them into another bowl. This might seem like a funny step to soak your bread in water, and I've seen other recipes for Pennsylvania Dutch potato filling that do not call for soaking them in the water. It just depends how dry your bread is, I guess. If you're just drying it out for a day or so, you may not need to follow this step, but my mom always did, my grandma did. It's just, I guess we really dry our bread out well, so that this is just a good step. And especially if you're drying your bread in whole slices, then you're going to need to soak it in order to rip it up, because it's really hard to break up into cubes if you've dried whole slices. I feel like softening it up in the water also just adds a moisture element to the Pennsylvania Dutch potato filling. That's just really nice, just makes the whole thing really just moist and so delicious. So this is a really interesting texture. Now let's prep the vegetables. Dice 1 cup of onion, and 1/2 cup of celery. We're also going to finely chop 1/4 cup of parsley. Now preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. In a large skillet or deep sauté pan, heat 1/3 cup of butter over medium heat. I have to say, I've never seen butter this gorgeous. I mean, look at this color. It's from such high quality milk from pasture-raised cows. And yes, I know that's a heck of a lot of butter in the pan, but trust me, it makes this filling so delicious. It's totally worth it. Butter's gotten a bad rap, but it's a good healthy fat. Add the onion and celery. Okay, I goofed up there. I started to add the parsley, got excited to add everything, but I'm going to add that a little bit later. Cook and stir for 10 minutes or until the vegetables are nice and tender. Once your onion and celery are nice and soft, you can go ahead and add the parsley and the bread cubes. And cook and stir for a few more minutes. This is a whole lot of yummy goodness in this pan, let me tell you. Oh my gosh, if you could smell it in here. Now for one of the most gratifying parts of this recipe, we're going to mix it all together. Okay, it's time to add the egg. Before I add the eggs, I'm going to taste test it to make sure it has the right amount of salt and pepper. Yummy, but it definitely needs more salt and pepper. A little more pepper. This is white pepper, by the way. I love white pepper. And a whole lot more salt. I'm not going to be shy here because it's going to give it nice flavor. So I'm adding probably like a teaspoon. This is a big batch. And I'm a salt fan. But if you plan on topping this with a really flavorful gravy, you may not need as much salt. Now let's stir in the eggs. I'm adding 2 beaten eggs. These are pasture raised. I think this could do with a little touch of our milk, so I'm going to add another splash. Even after adding that first splash of milk, it seemed a little on the dry side, so I did add another splash of milk. So now we're good to go. And that's how cooking is. Sometimes it's a matter of tweaking it. I found this adorable casserole with little chicken face on it at a thrift store. Shout out to Jubilee Ministries. And I'm just going to grease it up with a little bit of our butter. I'm going to just lightly grease the inside. Now let's fill it up. Fill it with filling. Oh boy. It's getting closer to that magical moment when I have a bite of this in my mouth. Okay. And if you're feeding a big crowd for Thanksgiving or some other gathering, feel free to double this recipe because this feeds about 6 to 8 people, depending how hungry they are. And just spread it to the edges. Dot with a little butter. Cover and bake for 40 to 50 minutes until the top is lightly golden. Feel free to uncover it for the last 10 minutes if you want to brown up the top a little bit. Okay, the 40-minute timer just went off, so let's see what it looks like after 40 minutes, see if we want to put it in for a little more time or if it's good to go. Ooh. Looking gorgeous, but I'm going to pop it in uncovered for the next 10 minutes. I want it to get nice and golden on top. Oh boy, here it is, fresh out of the oven. Oh my gosh. Oh, smelling heavenly. Wow. So this baked for almost an hour. My mom always baked it for a full hour. You can see that it lightly browned on top. You can even let it go a little bit longer if you want to get it even more golden and browned on top. Pennsylvania Dutch potato filling goes great with any sort of gravy, so just feel free to top it off with your favorite gravy, particularly turkey gravy at Thanksgiving. It just makes a delicious and hearty side dish any time of the year. Finishing touch is a little bit of fresh parsley on the top. And now time for the taste test. Be prepared. Filling is really hot right out of the oven, so be careful. So good. You're gonna love this recipe so much. Shout out to my dear mom for this wonderful recipe. And we'll be enjoying it again for this Thanksgiving. I hope you will be too. Let me know in the comments what your favorite potato recipe is. I'll see you in the next video.